Covering the veteran artists from pop, rock, soul, country, folk, and blues, this is the VVN Music Podcast. Today's program is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial by going to audibletrial.com/VVN. Hi, and welcome to episode 16 of the VVN Music Podcast. I'm Roger Wink, and today we're talking with iconic German guitarist Michael Schenker. Schenker has been playing guitar since early in his life, appearing on stage for the first time at the age of 11 with his brother Rudolph's band, the Scorpions. By the age of 17, he was a full member of the band, appearing on their 1972 debut, Lonesome Crow. The Scorpions went out on tour and supported the album with fellow German band UFO, who were impressed with Michael's playing and offered him the lead guitar position in the band. Michael went on to write most of the songs on their major label debut, Phenomenon, and stayed with the band for much of the 70s, appearing on 5 studio albums. Since then, Michael has recorded dozens of albums with the Michael Schenker Band, and now Michael Schenker's Temple of Rock. His latest is the live album and DVD, On a Mission, live in Madrid, with Francis Buchholz and Herman Rarebill from the Scorpions, Doogie White, and Wayne Findlay. Are you at your home in Brighton, England right now?
Absolutely, near Brighton.
When did you move to England?
Oh, well, I've been, it was Germany until I was 17, then I moved to England when I was with UFO, then I moved to America, to Arizona for 15 years, then I came back to Germany, then back to England. And so I've been in England now non-stop for the last 5 years.
Oh, congratulations on the new CD and video.
Oh, thank you.
It's available worldwide now, correct?
Yeah. By now, it's all over.
You know, the show came out of an interesting tour in 2015 where you included your 2 former Scorpion bandmates. How did you come about to work with them again?
Well, it was like, Herman and I, we were invited to help the Scorpions in Greece, and that was around 2009. Herman always asked me, Michael, why don't we do something together? So eventually we got together with Pete Way and Herman and myself, and we, worked on some, doing some live performances of our past. And at the same time, I was ready to record a demo, and so I went to Germany to Michael Frost, and I asked him to help me out with guide vocals. And when he was singing, I said, "Man, you can sing. Why don't you sing the album?" Then William Shatner became part of the album. Then I added there was all of a sudden incredible musicians from everywhere coming and participating on that first Temple of Rock album, like Carmen Eppes and Simon Phillips and Chris Slade and so many. Then we had Rod and McCauley sing and also Doogie White. He sang a song, and then when it was time to touring, Michael Foss wasn't available, so I asked Robin to help me out in America, and Michael was singing in Japan, and then Doogie was ready to do Europe, and then Pete Way got sick. And by the way, and when I did finish the demo and I brought it back to Herman and Pete Way, they wanted to become the rhythm section. So it went like bang, bang, bang without effort that everything happened, just so fast and with unexpected call from Captain Kirk himself. I mean, it's unbelievable, I thought, what's going on here? And then anyway, when Pete Way got sick and we needed Herman asked Francis, to help out, and so he did. And from that moment on, Doogie was singing, and that was the time when it clicked. And then I decided to quickly make a DVD just in case. And then we made a record, Bridge the Gap, and we made another one, Spirit on a Mission, and now the DVD, live DVD, CD, On a Mission, and basically we toured constantly and recorded basically, solid 4 years, and now it's time to take a break, make a next album in 2017, and in the meantime, and so we have, the DVD to bridge the gap for that period, and in the meantime, I'm putting together the Michael Schenker Fest. I want to basically, we continue working on Temple of Rock to be its own entity and to find its own sound and to have enough on its own familiar tunes and suffix, and so that we can perform the Temple of Rock without having to do any cover versions. And so, with the exception maybe of doing a Rock Bottom and Doctor or something like that. But I basically now at the point where I want to put Doogie has developed out of singing my past, and he has become the present now singer of Temple of Rock, which is my now band, my current band. And so now I have a chance to come put a show together with Herman. With Graham Bonnet and Gary Barden and Robin McCauley, which are three original MSG singers, and also Ted McKenna and Chris Glenn, the original rhythm section of Assault Attack, and Steve Mann, who used to be part of the McCauley Schenker band in those days. And so now I have I do that Michael Schenker Fest with the original MSG singers in Sweden Rock. Then I do one Barcelona show just with Gary Barden, and then we're gonna do the same we do in Sweden Rock in Japan for 3 shows, and then we are going to we're approaching right now. We're talking to UK, and we're working on Europe, and hopefully we can bring it to America too. But it's a much bigger, it's a much bigger show, and it involves much more stuff that goes with it. And but that's what I want. I want to be able to, in the future, less concerts, bigger shows, and as original as possible with the original singers of my past, and with Temple of Rock added to it eventually as my current band.
It sounds like you are planning on a little bit more as far as live work this year. I notice on your page that you only have 2 rock festivals currently scheduled.
Yeah, and so basically we are, because that's what I'm focusing on now is, just basically the Michael Schenker Fest is the focus right now, and so that needs to sink in. And that's, we start that in Sweden. We're already getting offers from UK festivals, and so it's slowly picking up, and we're trying to establish that.
How long have you been working with Doogie White?
Well, like I said, since the first Temple of Rock, which is probably came out 2011. And
you're also songwriting with him, correct?
Yeah. Doogie White and I, we are the original songwriting team of Temple of Rock, but now also, as we are trying to make Temple of Rock more unique and its own sound, I added, eventually I suggested Wayne Findlay to play the 7-string at some point when I had one made from Dean guitars, and I just played around with it, but I didn't really want to get into it. So I asked, Wayne to develop, and so he did. And then when we did Spirit on the Mission, I asked him to write some riffs, and he did, and I added my stuff to it, and so we found an additional songwriting team, and that works very nicely, combined with Doogie and what I do with him, and so we're on the way of becoming a very, unique in its own way.
You're constantly changing your set during the tours. How many songs do you have to prep with the new group before you take it on the road?
Well, it depends, but I keep all the set lists from all the tours we do, and I always make sure it's well balanced. There's so much material that we have, and there's always people who say like, oh, why don't you play this song, and that song, and you do it next time, And so you just go as you go. You go as you go. You look at what you did, and you look at what people said, and you look at what is still there and what hasn't been used, what can be used again. People already 3-4 years later, you can already, play the songs that you haven't played for 4 years. And so it just keeps working out so far.
You toured the U.S. last year and then Europe. How did you come about as far as picking the Madrid show for this release?
Oh, the Madrid show, basically, we were already in the middle of putting a European tour together, and then the record company asked for they would be interested in a DVD. I guess they just came up with this idea, 3D listening. And so at that point, we had to look at, where our routing would allow us to do this. Paris was in the talks, and then I said, also, I always wanted to make a live recording with Spanish people. They're always so enthusiastic and so much fun to do that with them. And we found this place in Madrid that was a really good really good venue for that kind of stuff, and for what we had in mind to do. And so Madrid was the place. It fitted into everybody's routing. It was a good choice, and we had a good show. We had a good night, and the audience were great. And we had one shot, and we were, fortunate.
Unlike a lot of other live albums, this one sounds very authentic without any kind of added studio work or anything. Did it pretty much go right from the master tapes from the concert?
It did. And the reason why also, actually, I have done my last 3-4 live recordings. I never overdubbed anything, or never fixed anything really. But with this one, there was a kind of a wrong note, a note that I don't like, that I played, and I tried to fix it, and because of the way it was recorded, we found out we can't even fix anything. It's unbelievable, because there were so many microphones there. If you fix something, you still hear the wrong note, and I even tried it. It sounds horrible. So you're better off with the wrong note than hearing the wrong note with the right note. It sounds even more wrong. And so, there is nothing there. But that's what I'm all about anyway. Ever since, I've never worked with tapes. I don't want to see tapes. I don't want anything artificial. I'm an artist, I want the music that comes from your heart right now, out of you, onto the audience. And the audience was surprised. I also love the fact that we didn't have barricades. It's really nice to be there with the front row and doing your thing, which I never thought, in the 70s that I would ever be able to do that, but by middle years, they allowed me to develop into that, and now I'm having so much fun on stage. And but I have been trained, over the years to play arenas, to play small clubs, to play medium, to play outdoors, indoors. So basically, I can find advantages and disadvantages in any type of place. But I'm a musician, and I focus on pure self-expression, and it wouldn't be pure self-expression if I have a whole bunch of artificial stuff going with it.
We'll return to our interview with Michael Schenker in just a minute. VVN Music has partnered with Audible.com for a special offer where you can receive a free book download by joining the Audible service. Audible has over 180,000 books from which to choose, including the latest bestsellers in both fiction and nonfiction. For music fans, there are hundreds of books from biographies to histories. Listen to Respect Yourself, The Stax Record Story by Robert Gordon, Life by Keith Richards, or Just Kids by Patti Smith in the comfort of your own home while out for a walk or during your commute. All you have to do to get your free book is go to audibletrial.com/VVN and make your selection. That's audibletrial.com/VVN. I've noticed in a lot of different places that you've mentioned, at least at this point in your life, that it really is all about the music. And in looking into your life and so forth, I found that you were born 8 days after I was in 1955. And I've always felt, 1955 was the year of Rock Around the Clock and Maybelline by Chuck Berry and things like that. I've always felt that rock and roll truly was, for anybody, the music of my life. And it seems like you take a very similar stance.
Well, the thing is that somehow things come in clusters. I noticed, for instance, Jeff Beck, Jimmy Page, Eric Clapton, that was like one of those mushrooms that were growing together in one little bundle somewhere. And then, Matthias Yaps and Uli Roth and myself, kind of come from the same area, and also are similar ages, Eddie Van Halen and so on, And so there are clusters of things that happen, and I was born 55. I don't know what it means, but it seems like Uli and Matthias, we're all kind of similar age from similar area. It's kind of pretty interesting how, life itself is a phenomenon. You can never figure it out. It's just unbelievable how it works.
You're famous for playing the Gibson Flying V guitar, but I did notice on the notes for the new album that I think you played 5 different Dean guitars for this tour.
Yeah, I was approached in 2004 by Elliot Rubinson, actually by Dean himself, and he came in Chicago. Uli was supporting my band, and when I played the guitar that they brought to the concert at the sound check, I went, wow, and Uli went, wow. And so later Leslie West went, wow, and a whole bunch of people. It's just, a very, very great guitar and a very, very solid guitar and a very nice playing guitar, a very good sounding guitar, and an excellent company with great people. And they made me an offer I couldn't refuse. And I've been with them for 10 years now. I put so many different models together, and it is always fun to work with them.
And they actually produced their own version of the Flying V for you, correct?
Yeah, we put together it's like the way they build the guitars is they're bigger anyway, and they're built differently, and so it comes in many different stages or in different ways how we come about with a new model. For instance, it can be a technical reason, it can be a systematical reason, it can be a reason of because I need something, an idea I have, I want to do something, and I need it specially designed, like the flying monster double neck. I needed 2 necks to do what I wanted to do with it, and the hollow body is a guitar that gives me extra feedback and so on. And then sometimes it's based on looks or it's based on making reissues of my original black and white design that I used the Gibson before, and then make the reissue of the early 80s, and it came out as a Dean. And then, of course, they always introduce the latest technical improvements, like pickups, a different sound, a better sound, and a unique sound, or a different way of putting frets on the singer, and so on. They're coming up with some. I'm not a very technical guy. At that point, when it comes down to technical things, I just listen. I use my ears and I go by what it feels like, and I say, hey, this is great, whatever that is.
What other equipment are you using these days?
I still use my 2205 Marshall, and that's it. I have a delay on stage and a barber pedal Dunlop, which I like very much, but I don't play it. I just have it really just plugged in to somehow it does something to the sound, and then I have the chorus that I rarely play, and I have a tuner up there, but pretty much, straightforward.
You mentioned recently that you are looking for a new record company to work with, and that you're looking to release a new album in 2017. How's that coming along? Yeah,
not a new record company. We're looking for making our next record in 2017, Temple of Rock. It's basically, as long as it's Michael Schenker's Temple of Rock, and we are using my platform, which we are now. It's no doubt about it that after all these years, it is what it is when it is what it is right now. So I can't speak hypothetical, but planned is the third album for Temple of Rock, and in the meantime, I'm developing a stage show with original singers, which then Temple of Rock gets added to.
You mentioned that in the past, and up until probably about a decade ago, you suffered pretty severely from stage fright. How did you end up getting over that?
Well, I grew out of it. Basically, it's like my life is in three. If I look back now, I can see very clearly three parts of my life. That the first was the first third of my life was my musical contribution created in the 70s for the 80s. And that was used in the 80s by my many bands. Rudolph, my brother, called me up from America and said, "Hey, Michael, they're all playing your guitar style here." But I said, "What? No way." Because what I did it unconsciously. I just had fun playing the guitar, fascinated with solo guitar playing. That was my passion, what I can do with one single string. And so what I developed was pure self-expression, and obviously a new color that was never there that made me automatically a trend maker, because it was copied by so many other people. But in the 80s, it was just basically simplified and made more commercially available. And so, but I guess, and that's what exactly the time when I, withdrew, when my part was done, and then, then after I finished the, helping the Scorpions with the Love Drive, opening the door for America for them. After that, I just basically, I was 23, 24. I already had hits since 76 with UFO. The Scorpions basically used to copy everything we did, including the artwork designer, and they would be coming to my home when they would be playing in the UK and listen to my latest compositions. So I was Rudolph's favorite guitarist, and basically by the age of 23, I had done everything. I knew what it looked like up there. I was famous. I was top 5 guitarist in America, and basically I helped out the Scorpions, and then I wanted to withdraw, but the Scorpions didn't want to let me go. That was the problem. That became a problem. But anyway, the stage fright, that's when I started the MSG. That's when I started, to do my own thing without compromises, to get things out of my system, to experiment with music, to develop on a personal level. That was my middle years. And those middle years, and then 2007, 2008, out of nowhere, I had the urge to be on stage. I went, "What? You want to be on stage?" I developed all of a sudden a liking to be on stage. And I guess that was the middle years. The middle years made it, possible for me to develop into a person who would actually end up the opposite of what he used to be. So now, since 2008, I can consciously enjoy what I unconsciously developed in my first part of my life. Now in my third part, I can consciously enjoy it and take it to the next level. And after almost 50 years of AC/DC playing the same chords over and over, everybody having a guitar at home probably by now and knowing at least 3 chords, I think it's time to bring guitar to the next level, not to leave the important part of guitar playing, which is feeling and pure self-expression as possible, and adding new colors and deeper colors, and now maybe people are more interested in getting a little deeper into music, and so I find it's time for me to be back and continue where I'm supposed to be continuing.
Well, looking at your entire discography from your life, it's obvious that you probably take very little time off for relaxation. Any other projects coming up in the near future for you?
Well, right now it's enough to just focus on doing the MSG with 3 original singers and putting shows together, wherever we can. And then doing another record in 2017 with Temple of Rock.
Well, that's great. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us. And,
thank you.
I wish you the best of luck with the new album and with all your projects moving forward.
Thank you so much.
Our thanks to Michael Schenker for talking with us. His new album and video, On a Mission Live in Madrid, is now available. We'll be back soon with more editions of the VVN Music Podcast with guests including Roger Earl of Foghat and the return of Yes legend John Anderson. Remember that you can get the latest news on the veteran artists of rock, pop, soul, country, folk, and blues at vvnmusic.com, where you can also find back editions of our podcast with guests like Nils Lofgren, Steve Hackett, John Anderson, Marky Ramone, and Lloyd Price. If you have any comments or questions about the website or this podcast, please send them to vvnnetwork@gmail.com. Our theme music is performed by Yahar. This program was recorded on June 22, 2016, and is a production of the VVN Network. Copyright 2016.